Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you a week's worth of dinners in my life as a vegan. There's no particular theme to this one. This is just a glimpse into how I'm eating day to day when I don't have any fancy recipes planned to film. I'm currently filming from a hotel room in Salt Lake City, Utah. I road tripped here from my home in the Bay Area over the course of 2 days. So I'll fill you in a little bit more on that for those of you who are interested in my shenanigans. But I'm going to work backwards, show you the meals that I ate this week, starting with what I'm having for dinner now. I ordered some food to the room because I drove for a long time today and I just wanted to kind of be a potato and chill. All right, my friends, I'm sorry the lighting is not the greatest, but I got all this from a Vietnamese restaurant someone recommended to me on Instagram. Started out with their spring roll sampler. So one of these has vegan barbecue beef, one has teriyaki chicken, one has 5-spice bean curd, and then the other one has fried tofu. I'm not sure which one is which. I got peanut dipping sauce on the side, and then these two go together, but they're packaged separately. Vegan ham, some fried tofu, some 5-spice bean curd, and then in here, there's some soy shrimp, which I really like. Definitely got more food than I can eat tonight, but I figured I can just have leftovers tomorrow morning. I think this is the 5-spice bean curd. Okay, these are so good, but kind of knew they would be. Can't really go wrong with spring rolls. I want to try this soup. I'm obsessed with these. Where can you buy these? I never see them anywhere. You know that fish cake that they put in like udon or ramen that's like white and pink around the edges? It reminds me of that. Vegan ham and this bean curd. And you can't go wrong with tofu. I'm gonna dip this into the hot sauce. Hoisin in here too. I never use hoisin sauce. What is it? Let's add some of our nudes. I just feel like with soup, I always eat way too much because the broth is so filling, but it's so good, and I always feel sick afterwards. Okay, so like I said, I road tripped here. The first day I did San Francisco to Winnemucca, Nevada. Never heard of it before, but it was like in the middle of nowhere. I needed a place to stop. I stayed at a very shady motel and I woke up early and drove here. This is the furthest I've ever driven on my own. I've never driven out of state alone before either. I was pretty scared. I was pooping my pants, but I'm very proud that I made it here. I'm like kind of losing my voice now because half the time I was singing along to music. I was listening to some Post Malone, some Front Bottoms, some Weekend today. Then the other half of the time I was listening to audiobooks, which was super cool because Audible offered to sponsor a video this month. And I was like, awesome, I'm going on a road trip anyway. I actually, like the first time I subscribed to Audible, it was back in September when I road tripped down to San Diego. And I was originally just gonna like get the free trial and the free audiobook and then cancel it afterwards, but I ended up getting hooked on it. Today I was listening to Radical Acceptance by Tara Brach. It's a book that Tim Ferriss recommended on his podcast. I'm kind of obsessed with Tim Ferriss as well. And then I was also listening to Whatever Arises, Love That by Matt Kahn. This is my second time listening to that audiobook, by the way. I love it so much. Every time I listen to his work, I get new insights out of it. Highly recommend those two books. Oh, I also really like The Four Agreements. Apples and Amanda's recommended that. That's another spiritual book. If I think of any other favorites, I will list them down below. But even if you're not interested in the spiritual topics, Audible has so many different titles to choose from. If you have not yet hopped on the audiobook bandwagon and you're interested in a free 30-day trial from Audible and a free audiobook of your choice, you can go to audible.com/sarahsvegankitchen, or you can text Sarah's Vegan Kitchen to 500-500. Even if you end up canceling, you get to keep your free audiobook, so nothing really to lose. That's pretty cool. So with that, I'm gonna show you the rest of the meals that I had this week. I'm gonna skip yesterday because, like I said, I was in the middle of nowhere land in Nevada. All I really ate yesterday were Cliff Bars and then this like really sad frozen tofu meal from Target. You don't really care about that, I promise. So I'm gonna share some recipes. So for the first night I made buffalo cauliflower wings. This is a definite staple for me since I've gone vegan. I used chickpea flour this time around to add some extra protein, some paprika, onion, garlic powder, salt and pepper, and water to make a batter. Then I just like to toss my entire head of cauliflower in there. You don't need to cover them 100%. As long as they're mostly covered, that is fine. Then you're gonna transfer them to a lined baking tray and bake them at a really high temperature. This is what makes them crispy, and then you pull them out, toss them in whatever sauce you like. I'm using buffalo sauce, just Frank's. You can add some vegan butter in there if you like. I skipped it this time to keep it somewhat healthier, but you could use any kind of sauce, barbecue, teriyaki sauce. If you use one of those that has higher sugar, just keep an eye on them because they will burn a little bit more easily. But if you're just using buffalo or hot sauce, you can toss them in for another full 20 minutes and they're good to go. I served mine with some celery and some vegan ranch, the cashew ranch that I showed a couple videos back. This next dinner is now my favorite thing I've ever made, no joke. So I have some water, bouillon paste, some red curry paste, and full-fat coconut milk. Added the white parts of some green onions and some frozen broccoli and brought that to a boil, and in the meantime I just pan-fried some extra firm tofu. When the broccoli was defrosted, I added some canned baby corn, some red peppers, and the green parts of the green onions, and threw in some chow mein noodles. So this was like a coconut red curry ramen. It was amazing. This next recipe is something I was testing for my tofu series. It still needs some tweaking, but I have some garlic, ginger, green onions, red peppers, green peppers, and extra firm tofu. I made a marinade for the tofu with some soy sauce, brown sugar, sesame oil, chili garlic paste, rice vinegar, and some white wine. Tossed my tofu in that and let it sit for about 30 minutes. Then I heated a little bit of oil and tossed in all of my vegetables. And I sauteed those until they were tender. Then I threw in my marinated tofu and I added some cornstarch to the remaining sauce in the bowl. Poured in the sauce and then I stirred it and it thickened pretty quickly. Then I added some peanuts and water chestnuts and the green parts of my green onions. So this was intended to be like a kung pao tofu. Like I said, I still want to tweak the recipe, but it might end up on the channel again later. And here's another recipe I've been playing around with for my tofu series. This one requires tons of lime juice, some olive oil, and lots of chopped cilantro. Also added some cumin, red pepper flakes, and salt. This is the super firm, high protein tofu from Trader Joe's. I'm covering that generously in my marinade, and I let this sit actually overnight, and I would just give it a flip every couple of hours or every time I remember to do it. And I grilled it, and after I flipped it over, I topped it with the remaining cilantro marinade mixture. You could eat this just as steaks, but I ended up cutting it up and serving it in tacos with some fajita veggies, some corn, and the island salsa from Trader Joe's. The next night I made a really simple rice noodle dish, so I started out by just rehydrating my rice noodles in hot water, and then I set those aside. And just using water and no oil, I sauteed some sliced onions, lots of garlic, celery, carrots, and shredded green cabbage. Once that was soft, I added in a little bit of vegetable broth, some soy sauce, tossed in my rice noodles, and once those were heated through, I added a lot of freshly ground black pepper. And then of course I had to top it with sriracha because that's just how I do. I was really craving vegan mac and cheese, so I decided to make a potato mac and cheese with russet potatoes, carrots, onions, and a couple cloves of garlic. I threw these into a pan and covered them with water and boiled them until they were tender. And in the meantime, I also boiled some of this red lentil pasta from Trader Joe's, which is higher in protein. When my veggies were soft, I transferred them to my blender and added some nutritional yeast, onion and garlic powder, some smoked paprika, some mustard powder, and some soaked raw cashews, and some lemon juice. And I pureed that into a velvety cheese sauce. Poured that over my red lentil pasta and stirred it in, and then I topped it with some panko breadcrumbs and baked it just until it was golden brown on top. Then I served this alongside some extra firm tofu. I just grilled it with some seasoning salt, had some steamed broccoli on the side, and I topped my tofu with some barbecue sauce. So that was my weekend dinners and a kind of life update chit chat. I hope you guys don't mind the weird format of this one. I just wanted to fill you in because I'm in a strange new land and I'm kind of out of sorts from driving for 2 days, which is understandable, I guess. I'll have some of the recipes linked down below in my blog, and I think that's all. I'll see you in my next video.